It's Monday, January 12th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. The double murder trial of a Dieppe elderly couple hears testimony. After another successful game, could a PWHL franchise be in the playbook for Halifax?
And we are in a break behind our latest icy mix of weather. The next system is lined up to arrive on Thursday.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. The trial in the double murder of a Dieppe couple continues in Moncton. Key witnesses for the Crown testified today. Family and friends of the late couple continue to show up at court. CTV's Derek Haggett was there.
The Crown prosecution called 3 witnesses to the stand this morning in the Jansen Baker double murder trial. Among them, the sister of Rose Marie Saunier, one of the victims. During the afternoon session, a former acquaintance of Baker's took to the stand. The witness told the court Baker admitted to him that he was responsible for a double murder in Dieppe. Baker has pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of 78-year-old Bernard Saunier and his wife, 74-year-old Rose Marie Saunier. The couple were both fatally shot in the head inside their home in the early morning hours of September 7, 2019. The Crown witness testified Baker told him he was confronted by the couple when he broke into their home, told them to get down, and shot them both. According to the witness, Baker returned an hour later and stole a solid gold watch off Bernard Saunier's wrist and a gold chain off his neck. Family and friends of the Sauniers were visibly upset after hearing the testimony. There is a publication ban on reporting anything that could identify the witness. Earlier, court heard from a witness who testified she took a photo of Baker wearing a gold chain the same morning as the murders. The witness testified that she took pictures of Baker around 4:30 a.m. on September 7, 2019. The witness testified that Baker and her former boyfriend came home early the morning of the murders and woke her up. The trial is scheduled to continue tomorrow. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Moncton.
Haligonians now know their water bill will likely jump 18% this year, with the biggest portion of the increase coming by this month's end. Just the first in a string of rate hikes on the horizon. CTV's Jonathan McGuinness has more.
Halifax Water has added an additional 0.5% to its rate increase scheduled for April, going from 5.5% to 6%. This is on top of a 12.1% hike this month.
So what that means for a household per month in January would be $9.28 extra a month, and then an additional $5.11 beginning in April.
The utility initially asked for a 36% increase back in December. The Nova Scotia Regulatory Appeals Board said that was too much, and Halifax Water had to recalculate.
Well, this is to address our significant deficit, which is from rising costs, including salaried employees, as well as chemical costs, projects costs.
It's not just Halifax Water's proposed hike that residents are facing. Nova Scotia Power has a nearly 8% proposal on the table, and the City of Halifax is looking to raise property taxes by over 10%.
When you stack water, power, and taxes together, it creates real rate shock for people who simply cannot afford it.
As a result, the Atlantic director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation says with costs rising for residents, some could choose to leave the city and province altogether for other parts of the country where the cost of living is lower.
And I think you're going to see a lot of out-migration to other provinces. If there's not, if something doesn't give here.
The information on the Halifax water increase is now with the Regulatory Appeals Board. Brittany Smith says a decision could come within the next few days, and the utility's customers will then know how much more money will be coming out of their pockets. Halifax Water provides 110,000 households with water, stormwater, and wastewater services. Jonathan McGuinness, CTV News, Halifax.
And we'll talk about where Canadians are moving a little later in the show. A group of Iranian Canadians rallied this afternoon in Halifax, pleading for urgent intervention as Iran enters a 5th day of total internet blackout.
USA action now!
Dozens gathered to share their fears that protesters in Iran are being killed, with the world unable to see or hear what's happening. Many in our region say they've lost contact with family overseas. One woman told CTV News she doesn't know if her relatives are alive. Demonstrators are calling on world leaders to pressure Iran's government and to help restore internet access. There's a live eye of Truro, Nova Scotia right now, where it's currently -4 degrees. Christmas lights still up. Let's bring in Kaylin Mitchell. Kaylin, it was a beautiful Saturday for just about everyone in the region.
Yes.
Back to a little more what we're accustomed to in terms of winter today.
Yeah, and on Sunday as well, large portion of the region got over to that wintry mix. Let's start with a quick summary of that. The most snow fell across northern areas of New Brunswick, is about 10 to 20 centimeters. Now, the overall snowfall totals came down lower into central and southern areas of New Brunswick because there was more ice in the mix, including some extended periods of freezing rain. Speaking of an extended period of freezing rain, the Charlottetown Airport reported about 11 hours of light freezing rain or freezing drizzle. With that weather system, there were also some very icy conditions developed around northern areas of Nova Scotia. If we're talking about just rain, the most of that came down around the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia, especially moving up the eastern shore into locations in Cape Breton, Spanish Ship Bay, 28 millimeters of rain, and Sydney, around 30 millimeters of rain. Now, we're still feeling the influence of that weather system that moved through on Sunday. The center of that storm, because it really did increase in strength to become a stormy weather system as it moved up towards Newfoundland, is now just off the northern coastline of Newfoundland, but it is still triggering some severe weather alerts in the region, including in Cape Breton, where actually the winter storm warnings and wind warnings apparently have just ended. That situation was expected to improve through this evening. At the 5 o'clock hour, there were still gusts near 91 kilometers per hour at Sydney. But again, the winds there were expected to continue to come down as we went through the evening. Tonight for Newfoundland, though, they have a winter storm warning out across the west, an additional 5 to 15 centimeters of snow, accompanied by gusts 90 to 120 kilometers per hour. The interior with some wind gusts up to 100 kilometers per hour. And there's actually some orange level warnings issued when it comes to the wind around the south coast of Newfoundland, as well as off towards the east, including the Avalon Peninsula. Remember, that is an upgrade on the yellow level warnings, and some of those peak wind gusts, Todd, around exposed areas of the coast, get to 110 to 140 kilometers per hour tonight.
Ooh, they'll certainly feel that. All right, we will see you for the full forecast later. Thank you, Kaylin. Now, the snow has come early and often to much of New Brunswick this winter, and people who play in it and make a living from it could not be happier. CTV's Laura Brown has that.
It's almost like our old-time winter's back.
And while that's not exactly what summer lovers want to hear, this winter is exactly what Brad Mann was hoping for so far.
We had another storm again last night. The club is open. They're doing very well. Sales are up about 65% at the club. Bookings. I do run a snowmobile rental business also. So there's a ton of interest. It looks like the month of February is pretty well all pre-booked.
It's quite literally music to his ears after 2 years of late starts to the snowmobiling season. The industry, run almost entirely by volunteers, is worth over $90 million to the province. So Mann says there's a sense of relief that this season is looking up. CTV's meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell says it's actually been a pretty typical winter so far in New Brunswick, but the last two were warmer with less snow. So perhaps this one feels a little different. Fredericton's skating rink was busy at noontime today. The city is gearing up for Frostival, the largest winter festival in Atlantic Canada. Started over a decade ago, in part to boost businesses during a slow time of the year.
It's grown to over 175 events that take place around the Fredericton Capital Region. And in addition to that, we've created Dine Around Freddy. So it's a dining program, which we have over 25 restaurants involved. And it's a great mixture of events, both indoors and outdoors, so that Mother Nature can't mess with us.
She says hotel stays have been strong so far this season, too. The hope to help more people embrace winter, since the snow doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
It certainly does not. An investigation is underway after a crew member on an Air Canada flight from Toronto to Moncton before Christmas was accidentally locked in the plane's cargo hold before it took off. An airline spokesperson says it happened on December 13th on Air Canada Flight 1502 when the doors to the plane were inadvertently closed while a crew member was inside. A spokesperson says the aircraft returned to the gate when the incident was discovered. No injuries were reported. A packed house in Halifax cheered on the PWHL's Boston Fleet and Ottawa Charge yesterday in the league's takeover tour. But the dream of a maritime team is what had fans most excited. CTV's Callum Smith looks into the likelihood of a bid.
Was that a score against Franco? Scores again!
For the second game in 1 month, PWHL teams went to a shootout Sunday to decide a winner in Halifax. Today, supporters from across the Maritimes took in Boston's morning practice to see the Stars once more and show their support for a franchise here.
We hope Halifax gets a team because we travel over from PEI all the time. I do think there's a chance to expand more.
It was a sold-out Sunday crowd, just like December's game, putting the city on the league's radar.
We have 16 games, and there are some cities like Halifax that we are coming to more than once. So I believe we have 11 different markets in North America, and we're looking at all of those as potential areas that would make sense for the PWHL.
All begging the question, could Halifax score its own franchise? Events East, that runs Scotiabank Centre, would be the one to submit an expansion bid.
We feel very confident in Halifax and Nova Scotia's capabilities to meet the requirements of the league.
The airport says it's well equipped to handle flights to support a professional team, and Discover Halifax says hotel space wouldn't be a problem either.
When you get into those seasons, in the shoulder season and into the winter season, there's lots of availability, and it's easy to find accommodations.
The thought isn't slipping the mind of politicians.
I think we showed the PWHL that Halifax is a fantastic city to consider expansion into. I think it's worth a good solid pitch to them.
Even the Prime Minister's wife hopeful for what could come.
I think it's high time for a PWHL team this side of the country.
Leaving fans here hoping the second stop in Halifax is far from the last. Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
And after 6:30, we'll ask PWHL Vice President Jana Hefford, who you saw in Callum's piece, what Halifax's chances are for a franchise. You can read more about all this right now at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Once a hub of downtown Halifax, the old Memorial Library has been empty for over a decade. Now, there's renewed talk about its future, but as CTV's Jesse Thomas reports, the city has few options and little to say about it.
The old Halifax Memorial Library sits on one of the busiest stretches of Spring Garden Road, and for the past 12 years, it's sat locked up, empty and unused.
Well, I think the biggest lack of information on the Central Library is what would be the cost to rehabilitate it.
Built in 1949, a major addition was added in 1974, but it was closed in 2014. The city has explored numerous options for the heritage building, but none have moved forward.
Previously, as a former municipal councillor, we had chapters investigate this for a site. We had the Nova Scotia Native Band Council come in, and everyone's walked away. So
rising costs and structural concerns have all been cited as major barriers to redevelopment. But the biggest issue is what lies beneath the Memorial Library. It sits on burial grounds dating back to the 1760s. Development would be limited to the existing footprint of the building. Still, the Nova Scotia Heritage Trust wants to see the building brought back to life.
And to leave it for more than 10 years is really disappointing and I think short-sighted because the building has so much value to the community.
Lang says to demolish would be a disaster given the building's cultural and economic value.
Demolition doesn't get you very much. First of all, we have a park space outside it, and the building has so much more life in it.
But according to downtown councillor Laura White, council's decision in 2024 to move the building from corporate real estate's portfolio to parks and recreation has likely sealed its fate for the building as a park site.
After 10 years of trying to find something to do with the building, let's look at turning it into a park. So that's the current direction of council.
Councillor White, who you just heard from there, just walked past us, and she's emphasizing that parks and recreation staff are having a fresh look at the old Memorial Library site, and she expects a report to come back within the next 2 to 3 months with some recommendations on the site's future. As for tonight's meeting, it's just getting underway behind us here at the new library here on Spring Garden Road, I guess you can call it. Either way, there's about 24 people inside who are taking in some of the history. Spoke with the presenter before, William Brackenridge. He's hopeful that old library facility, the building itself, sticks around. He doesn't want to see a demolishing of that. For now, Todd, there will be more information, obviously, once we see that report come down the line.
Yeah, we'll certainly watch for that. Thank you, Jesse. At Halifax Central Library, the new library on Spring Garden Road in the city. A fixture on the river will be missing this winter in Rothsay. The town will not approve solid ice fishing shacks. It no longer wants to deal with those wooden huts that keep sinking in the spring. CTV's Avery McRae has more on the reasoning and reaction.
For years, it was a sporting hotspot during the coldest time of year. But this winter, the Renforth Wharf Ice Fishing Village isn't the school of activity it once was.
It's kind of like a ghost town now for the most part.
It's the result of this gate being installed at the access point to the water. The town of Rothsay built the gate with the intention to keep non-pop-up huts off the ice after years of issues.
This past summer, we ended up sending some divers down to pick up a shack that had sunk 2 years ago. They brought it towards the wharf, and then we had a crane come in and lift it out of the water, and then we had to dispose of that.
Rothsay Deputy Mayor Matt Alexander says the cost of dealing with left-behind shacks falls to the municipality. He says the town tried to work with the fishing community on a resolution, but one couldn't be agreed upon.
Online right now, you'll see a lot of comments of people really upset and directing their anger towards town council over this. But we would see those similar comments at the end of the season of residents, really angry and upset with the amount of debris that was left behind on the ice.
Jack Ross grew up fishing on these waters and disagrees with the town's decision.
For the last decades, everyone's had their shacks out here, so I don't feel it's fair to everyone.
But as an operator of a guided pop-up ice fishing experience, reeling in clientele is even easier than catching smelt.
Yeah, I probably got 100 messages I haven't even got to yet, so I've probably done around 20 rentals, but the family's been loving it, catching fish, so it's a good time.
The town doesn't have any jurisdiction on the river itself, meaning there's nothing stopping anglers from bringing their huts here through other access points on the river. The deputy mayor says people are welcome to do that, but there could be consequences if they park on the beach behind this gate, which is town property. Avery McRae, CTV News, Rothsay, New Brunswick.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Photo radar could become a reality in Nova Scotia. The province's cameras could be in place by the end of the year. But as CTV's Vanessa Wright tells us, the debate over its value continues.
Speed cameras could be coming to Nova Scotia neighborhoods very soon. Dartmouth East Councillor Tony Mancini hopes his municipality is the first to put them up.
We're ready to go. Our staff has been ready to go.
The technology has been discussed and debated for years. The topic came up at a public meeting where dozens of residents spoke out over excessive speeding on Waverley Road.
In the past month, I've had 3 near misses where I've almost been hit in the sidewalk, walking my dog, and also carrying my 4.5-month-old son.
Now, speeding is the main concern for those living here on Waverley Road. One person I spoke with didn't want to go on camera, but says they aren't against speed cameras. They don't know how effective it will be, but say something needs to be done to get people to slow down.
I don't support speed cameras. I don't find that there's any evidence they actually change driver behavior. This is particularly because the tickets aren't delivered to people until sometimes months after the incident occurred.
The technology didn't last long in some parts of the country. Ontario turned them off in November after more than 5 years of use and millions of dollars collected in fines.
In order for an intervention to change behavior, it's more effective when it happens immediately. When somebody's pulled over, they're meant to confront their conduct. Whereas when you get a ticket in the mail, you don't even remember what happened that day or if it was even you that was driving the vehicle.
Mancini says increased police enforcement would be the ideal solution.
But we don't have the traffic department that we once did. And in fact, myself and a few of my colleagues have been fighting year after year at budget time to increase the number of police officers.
Mancini says it'll be another 8 to 12 months before people can expect to see them on the roads. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Dartmouth.
You heard a couple opinions in that piece. Now we want to hear from you. Would you like to see speed cameras in your neighborhood? Your options are yes, it would cut down on speeding, maybe in certain areas, or no, they're just a money grab. Let us know what you think at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Okay, time for our first break on this Monday night. Still ahead, Kaylin has details of a well, warmer week ahead. But first, missing the moving vans.
They were the last bastion in Atlantic Canada where prices were actually pretty fair.
New numbers from U-Haul show fewer movers are making their way to the Maritimes. I'll tell you why after this. The number of moving trucks coming to our region has slowed from its peak a few years ago. Maritime cities, once prized for their affordability and easy lifestyle, are no longer the top attraction as Canadians increasingly, and once again, look west. CTV's Hafsa Arif has a look at the trend.
It wasn't that long ago the Maritimes were the nation's fastest growing playground, with U-Hauls rolling east, record housing demand, and hot markets across the region. But the latest moving numbers show that boom may be stalling.
It's almost an even split. It's something like 51% of transactions are leaving and 49 are coming in from outside. So it's pretty even.
For U-Haul, the Maritimes went from being a top 25 moving destination to landing well out of the spotlight. And they're hearing from customers it's because of the high cost of living.
Moncton, not all that long ago, was one of the highest grossing, or like one of the top 25 cities, largely because they were the last bastion in Atlantic Canada where prices were actually pretty fair. Another example that actually last year would have been Sydney.
It's a story realtors are watching play out on the ground as well.
And it's one of the first questions that I get asked when people are moving from out of province is how bad is healthcare really, and have opted not to come to Nova Scotia because of that.
And the post-pandemic fantasy of cheaper houses and coastal living has become harder to afford.
The days of cashing out of a more lucrative market, such as Ontario, and coming down here and buying twice the house for half the cost is just no longer the case.
But the numbers tracked by Statistics Canada paint a more nuanced picture.
In the third quarter, 11% more people migrated into Nova Scotia.
Quarter by quarter, more are still coming in than leaving, even if the margins are shrinking.
Last quarter of 2024, it was 23%. Before that quarter, it was 17%. So it fluctuates, but it has stayed positive so far.
Whether the Maritimes remain a landing place or return to being a launching pad, it comes down to economics, housing, and hope. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Halifax.
Still to come, a chilly start to tomorrow with mixed sun and cloud throughout the day. Things will warm up, Kalen's saying, and we'll hear from him right after this. Well, Kalen, looks like they're just shutting things down. Maybe a few stragglers there trying to get in the last run of the day before the night skiing, because the lights are on. Brookvale.
Yeah.
-5. That is good snowmaking weather, I think, right?
You do want that minus sign there, that's for sure, and that's true of all the ski hills and ski spots in and around the Maritime region. That latest weather system that moved through on Sunday would have been nice if it was more snow. For PEI, ended up being more of an icy mix. Again, about 11 hours of light freezing, rain, and freezing drizzle being reported at the Charlottetown Airport from that one.
That makes it crunchy.
It does. And the next weather system arriving for the Maritimes as well looks like it is going to be a mix. This is looking forward to a little bit later into the week. That low pressure system up in the St. Lawrence River Valley of Quebec, that's a Clipper system that's moving through the west now. And then on the southern part of that Clipper system, a second low will develop around southern Ontario. And that's the one that's going to be tracking straight up and into the Maritime region. And you can see this is expected to be a mixture of snow and rain. In fact, it looks like it's going to be mostly rain for Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and southern areas of New Brunswick. The snowy part of the weather system will be right along the northern edge of that low. And right now, that looks like it could brush through the northwestern corner of New Brunswick. So it's really that northern area of New Brunswick that there's the potential of maybe some snowfall amounts for around 5 to 15 centimeters. Again, that's out of the next weather system arriving on Thursday. It is a mixture of snow and rain. Where that system is now is that clipper that's making its way through northern areas of Alberta. There's some cloudy conditions right now at Fort McMurray, but speaking of milder temperatures, a little rich in the jet stream is bringing in milder temperatures across much of the western half of Canada right now. Look at 7 at Fort St. John in the north of BC, 5 degrees at Fort McMurray, and then it finally gets a little bit colder up around Yellowknife, sitting at -13, Thompson, Manitoba at -4. Off in the east, we've got 0s at Toronto and Ottawa, -1 at Montreal, -6 now at Fredericton, -3 at Halifax, -4 at Charlottetown, and -2 in St. John's. And remember, very windy evening and night for Newfoundland as they're contending with that storm system. Taking a look at our timeline for cloud cover and precipitation as we make our way through tonight. Partly cloudy conditions expected, seasonably chilly, and it'll be that way for the start of the day for tomorrow, which will be mostly cloudy around the region. Low chance of some flurries, Halifax and down to the southwest of Nova Scotia. That'll be for the early morning hours. The afternoon, mostly a mix of sun and cloud. Now, winds were high and gusty for parts of the Maritimes for today, especially in the east, where there were some wind warnings in effect. Those have now come to an end as the winds are diminishing, and they continue to come down as we move through this evening and tonight. Tomorrow's winds out of the west and southwest for the Maritimes sustained 10 to 20 kilometers per hour with some gusts between 20 and 40. So more of a standard breezy day for us. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight, falling a few to several degrees below the freezing mark in most cases. In the north of New Brunswick, down to the minus double digits in the range for around -10 to -14. But then there'll be some recovery towards tomorrow afternoon. So high temperatures 0 to 2 degrees in the north of New Brunswick, with central and southern parts of the province with high temperatures between 1 and 5 degrees. Here's a look at the highs for Prince Edward Island on Tuesday, and most communities will get up to around freezing or around +1. And then for the east of Nova Scotia, the high temperatures for tomorrow will be mostly in the low single digits, between 1 and 3 degrees. Central parts of the province with highs tomorrow between 2 and 4 degrees. And we'll have some high temperatures near 4 for the Annapolis Valley and near 4 degrees as well for many of the coastal areas of the South Shore and in the southwest of the province. And again, a mix of sun and cloud after a low chance of some flurries first thing in the morning. Taking a look at the extended forecast for New Brunswick. So on Wednesday, some light snow or flurries in the north of the province. And on Thursday, that wintry mix, that mixture of snow and rain. Best shot of accumulating snow, again, up around the north and northwest. Flurries in the forecast for Friday. Temperatures come down a little bit, a mix of sun and cloud to get the weekend started before there's a chance of flurries on Sunday. Cloudy periods to follow for Monday of next week. For Nova Scotia in the outlook, we've got a low chance of a shower or some patchy drizzle on Wednesday, fairly cloudy day. And then rain in the forecast for Thursday as that low pressure system moves through. It's followed by flurries as temperatures come down on Friday. Saturday, a mix of sun and cloud. It'll be cloudy on Sunday and then snow possible on Monday of next week. You can see temperatures there on the milder side for January over the next several days. And same thing goes for Prince Edward Island. Some patchy drizzle possible on Wednesday. It's rain in the forecast for Thursday. It's not great news, of course, for the ski hill. Flurries expected on Friday as temperatures come down a little bit. A mix of sun and cloud on Saturday. Cloudy periods for Sunday, and then snow possible on Monday of next week. Odd.
Yeah, that's pretty mild. Thank you, Kalen. We'll see you at the end of the show. Next, we'll talk about whether Halifax would be a good spot for a PWHL franchise. And a maritime musician has new music on the scene.
Hey, my name's Mo Kenny. I'm a singer-songwriter from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. I've got a new record out called From Nowhere, and I'm going to tell you all about it coming up next.
Okay, so we're back at it tomorrow, giving you a chance to win $100,000 with Virgin Radio's $100,000 Destroy Your Debt.
Those keywords start at 7 a.m.
And around 7:30, get a shot at a gas tank.
We want to spend a little more time now talking about the buzz around women's hockey in our region. Jana Hefford is Executive VP of Hockey Operations with the PWHL, multi-Olympic medalist, and the Hall of Famer joins us from Toronto. Nice to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Another sellout in Halifax last night. No doubt you heard the chants of "We want a team, we want a team" from the fans. Let me ask you, would you like to see a team in this city?
Well, you know, the response that we've gotten has been incredible in Halifax. And of course, we had a game in December previous to the holidays, and then again yesterday. And Halifax has certainly showed up. 2 sold-out events. Yeah. The players certainly felt welcome from the time they landed at the airport. The energy, the buzz around the city was incredible. And I had a chance to be at the game in December, and you can certainly sense how passionate the hockey fans are in Halifax, how much they love the PWHL. And as we continue to evaluate expansion and what the league looks like in the future, Halifax has positioned themselves really well in terms of the support they've provided us.
Well, folks there will be happy to hear that, and you certainly have a lot of interest from a lot of cities that would like to get into that league. Are these games tryouts of sorts for cities that might be interested?
Yeah, we've said many times that every chance we have to play in one of our markets or in an outside of one of our team markets, it's a chance to learn. We learn about the city, the community, the interest in hockey, the economic opportunities, what a team there could mean to people. And so every time we go, we try to learn something, and we've learned a lot from Halifax this year. If you look at last season, 2 of our markets from the takeover tour ended up getting expansion teams. So there's a lot to consider, certainly, in terms of making sure we select markets that we believe will be successful for the league. But as I said, Halifax has been a wonderful addition this year.
What would be some of the more, boring elements that the league needs to see on a checklist before they invest in a city?
Well, the most obvious is infrastructure. So, venues, practice, training facilities, game facilities. Of course, we want passionate hockey fans, strong grassroots participation, both girls and boys. We look at it's a city where our players are going to need to live, so cost of living. We look at economic opportunities, corporate partnerships. TV, broadcast. So there's just a lot of boxes to check, travel schedules and how that would incorporate into an existing schedule. And so there are many, many data points. But, as you said, there's been so much interest in this league, and that's been exciting. And I could say our players really certainly felt the love when they were in Halifax.
Well, that's certainly nice. Look, Halifax might be an unconventional choice for a team as opposed to say, I don't know, like a Denver or Calgary or Detroit, but it would be the biggest game in that town. Does that carry any weight?
Yeah, that's what we felt, right, when we have visited there twice. I will say, we're not a league that does everything in a conventional way. So we're not afraid to do things a bit differently than other leagues. But at the same time, we have a responsibility to do our due diligence and make sure we check as many boxes as we can in terms of ensuring that market will be successful.
What would be the process and, say, timeline now for a city to make a bid?
Well, many of those bids are already submitted. It's sort of ongoing. And as you mentioned, as part of the takeover tour, every time we play a game, we learn a little bit more. So we're a little bit past halfway in our takeover tour this year, I believe. And so we have a lot of, big, important decisions to make in the next couple months, certainly. And it's a fun process, but, it could be a challenging one. And so, but at the end of the day, it's incredibly exciting to see the success and the growth of the league.
We know some of the biggest backers for a Maritime team are the players and coaches who are from here. Are they lobby you every time they see you?
They sure do. I actually happened to be in Quebec City yesterday, and Corey Chevry was speaking the press conference and mentioned Halifax. So we have a really strong contingent of folks from Atlantic Canada, and of course they always speak very highly of the region. And so there's a lot of demand for many markets, but certainly Atlantic Canadians are proud people and would love to continue the hockey history there.
They certainly would. Look, I can't let you go without asking you about Team Canada and our hopes for the Winter Olympics. How do you feel about the lineup?
You look at it, it's, all members of the PWHL, so players that I know very well. And, you look at some of the big names, the veteran players like the Marie-Philippe Poulins and Laura Stacey and Renata Fast and Sarah Nurse, Natalie Spooner. So they've got all the experience there of people that have won. They know how to win. And then I think there's 7 first-time Olympians on that roster. So, I know it's well coached, great group of athletes. They're going to do everything they can to make Canada proud.
And a good showcase the tournament is for your league as well, no doubt.
Yeah, it's an amazing opportunity for the PWHL and women's hockey in general. We expect to have over 25% of our players competing in the games. We have another additional coaches and other support staff members that'll be a part of the Olympics. And as everyone knows, the best players in the world play in the PWHL. So this is an opportunity to hopefully drive some global eyeballs back to the PWHL when the Olympics are over and get everyone engaged in the chase for the Walter Cup.
Jana Hefford, PWHL VP, Team Canada legend. We hope to see a lot more of you in the Maritimes in the coming months and years.
Appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
We'll take a time out. We'll be right back with much more. In health headlines tonight, we take a look at Canadian research that could improve IVF outcomes. CTV's Amanda Debison has more. Tonight's Lifeline.
Research from McGill University could raise the success rate of IVF. The success rate for IVF is 30%, due in part to a complicated schedule of daily injections. Researchers at McGill are developing a light-activated microneedle patch. It can be programmed to dispense medication at set times. This means no more need for injections. This technology can also be used for conditions such as diabetes or multiple sclerosis. Finally, medical experts say strength training can help keep bones and muscles healthy after menopause. Estrogen loss speeds up a reduction in bone density and contributes to the gradual loss of muscle mass. Strength training involves working against resistance and can help women maintain a healthy weight while staying on track with New Year's fitness resolutions. You can use free weights, but strength training can also involve exercises like push-ups, squats, lunges, sit-ups, crunches, or planks. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for the Lifeline.
Entertainment now with Katie Kelly on the scene. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, Todd.
Tonight you're talking to a Dartmouth singer-songwriter, Mo Kenny, about their latest album.
Yes,
nice.
yes. The 2025 Music Nova Scotia Songwriter of the Year says this one feels deeply personal and more collaborative than anything they've done before.
So it's called From Nowhere, and yeah, I worked with Joel Plaskett again on this one in his studio in Dartmouth, Fang, and we wrote a few songs together on it, and I've just been touring it since it came out.
For more than a decade, Mo Kenny has built a reputation for raw, honest songwriting. And with this latest record, that honesty feels more open than ever.
Yeah, I got sober like 6 years ago, so I do find myself writing quite a bit about that. There's the first song on the record's called Bad Times, and that's kind of about like, you know, that's sort of the theme, yeah. But it's not, I don't think it's a very like dark record. I think like historically I've written pretty like sad songs. There's some sad songs on there for sure, but it's a bit more, it's a bit lighter, I think, than some of my past stuff.
I wanted something true. From Nowhere, their 5th studio album, marks the return to a sound Mo fans will recognize. More acoustic, more intimate, but with a new sense of community behind it.
And I had a bunch of friends like come in and play on it this time, which was really nice. Like usually it's just Joel and I in the studio, so it was very like collaborative in a way that I haven't really done before.
And that spirit of collaboration is carrying over from the studio to the stage with a series of live shows.
So on Saturday the 17th, I'm hosting the Big Turn Up Jubilee, which is basically like a country music variety show, and I'm having a country suit made for that, so that's going to be amazing. I'm so excited. Yeah, the tickets are all sold out, unfortunately, but it'll be great. And then the weekend after that, I'm playing a festival in Fredericton called Shivering Songs, and this time around I'm playing with one of my favorite songwriters, Charlotte Cornfield. And it's at the Wilmot Church. It's going to be amazing. There's still tickets for that.
From Nowhere is out now. And if Mo Kenny gets their way, it's an album that invites listeners to step inside and stay a while.
My favorite thing about listening to other people's music is kind of getting like pulled into their world a little bit and hopefully find something you can relate to. And that's what I hope that people get from listening to my music.
It happened to me.
Everybody needs a cool country suit.
No, I cannot wait to see pictures of that.
Yeah, that sounds good. We reported on the big hockey game, you know, just a little earlier, but there was one moment, I knew you were going to have this. I knew this would not escape you from the Scotiabank Metro Center this weekend.
I was getting text messages that she was there. A Canadian music legend made a surprise appearance during the Professional Women's Hockey League matchup between Boston and Ottawa.
I wanted so much as a kid to play, and there was just no opportunity, so I'm so happy. I can't even believe it's happening.
Four-time Grammy winner and Nova Scotia native Anne Murray was there, sharing her love of the game and excitement for the growth of women's hockey. She was also on hand, as you see here, to read the starting lineup. How cool is that?
Yeah, reading the lineup for Ottawa, boy, were they excited in that locker room. They started chanting Anne at the end, right?
Someone had a shirt that said Anne freaking Murray on the back. I'm like, wait a minute, I need one of those immediately.
Boy, this has been all the talk at the Golden Globes again last night, and this is a big win for a Nova Scotia author and fans of hockey romance. It's certainly that.
Yep. It's been confirmed. Halifax writer Rachel Reed is heading back into the heated rivalry universe with a brand new book.
It's really, 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 really surreal to be sitting here writing the next Ilya and Shane book while watching jokes about Ilya and Shane happen live on my television from Hollywood at the Golden Globes. It's very weird.
Imagine, Todd, imagine. The 7th installment of her best-selling Game Changer series, Unrivaled, reunites that fan-favorite couple whose story also inspired the hit TV adaptation. The book hits shelves this September, while fans continue waiting on word for when we will see season 2 of the Crave TV series.
It's amazing, the success. Good for her. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be back with Kaylin's wake-up weather. We'll do the business report, and then we'll let you have your evening.
Mornings with Aaron and Peter. The new to you thing that's changed your life. Mine involves the way I make pizza tomorrow at 7.
And Password to Paradise kicks off at 6:30. All-inclusive trips to Turks and Caicos.
On the markets, the Dow Jones opened a new week of trading up 86 points. The market shrugged off the investigation of the chair of the U.S. Federal Reserve, with the S&P 500 ending the day with a record high. BNN Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez has more on that.
Federal prosecutors are looking at whether Jerome Powell lied to Congress about a renovation of the central bank's headquarters. But the chair says this is really about the independence of his office, which he says faces threats and ongoing pressure. The chair has been a target of the U.S. president for the last year. Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem is offering his full support to Powell. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 72.06. West Texas Intermediate is up to 59.32. Western Canadian Select up $1.44 to 44.10. And the TSX gained 261 points today for yet another record close. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Kaylin, you're going to start things off with a beautiful picture.
Yeah, that's right. So we know the last weather system that moved in on Sunday had quite a bit of freezing rain with it for parts of the Maritimes. So our picture for tonight is from Northport, so the Northumberland shoreline of Nova Scotia. One of those parts of the region that did see a more extended period of freezing rain. You can see the ice coating the branch here in the foreground and looking very crystalline there in the background with that icy coating across. You can see some of the terrain there. This was sent in from Dora Rafter. I want to thank Dora very much for taking the time to share that picture. Northport for tomorrow, with a mix of sun and cloud. It will be, a seasonably cold start to the day, but the afternoon high temperature gets up to near 2 degrees. Day planner for tomorrow. Early morning temperatures, mostly a few to several degrees below the freezing mark, even a little bit colder than that through some northern areas of New Brunswick. The afternoon, though, should see a lot of high temperatures in the region climb up into the low single digits with a mix of sun and cloud and just a little bit of a breezy wind. Todd.
All right, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Finally, for us tonight, seems artificial intelligence is dominating a new list of the fastest growing jobs in Canada. LinkedIn says AI is reshaping every stage of the employment journey. We were told that would happen. It reports that engineers, consultants, and strategists, and machine learning engineers especially, take 3 of the top 5 spots in the list of the fastest growing jobs. Others are in healthcare, construction, and sales. All right. That is our look at the day here at home. Bruce Frisco is here after CTV National News tonight. Playoff football pushed things back a little bit. CTVNewsAtlantic.ca has the updates anytime you want them. I'm Todd Battis. Hope to see you right back here tomorrow. Till then, have a good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.